everybody, it's Lily, and today in this video I am going to be doing a speed paint in Photoshop. I'm going to try to draw a person in a semi-realistic style, and like I can draw realistic people, okay, and I can draw a cartoon or like anime people fine. In the past, I felt like I really struggled with this kind of semi-realistic drawing style, so I decided to give it a go and try it again. In this video, I'm painting my Dungeons & Dragons character for the Strahd campaign that we are doing currently. Her name is Lilith. So this kind of face goes through some pretty funny phases. So I started with a really rough sketch of the face, kind of warped some areas like the nose and drew the mouth and ears, kind of warped that face again a little bit, repositioned stuff. And then I needed to place the eyes, so I just started with 2 little dots and I was like, haha, that looks pretty funny. And then I drew the eyes and it just looks totally awful here in this rough sketch stage. It looks so bad. But I was like, you know what, every drawing starts somewhere, so I'm just gonna keep drawing. And so then I kind of just work on that for a bit, this first rough sketch, and then I lighten that layer. And I start refining the next layer on top using a smaller brush and looking at photo references for eye shapes and nose shapes and, facial features, things like that. So my character is supposed to be, I was kind of inspired a little bit by Annie from Attack on Titan, kind of with her nose shape I think is really cool, and so I kind of wanted my character to have a similar nose shape. And she's supposed to look relatively plain. I think I actually made her look too pretty in the end, which is a problem, right? Or I guess that's not so much a problem, but whatever. Yeah, so I just gave her some really full eyebrows, perhaps maybe a little too full, and then drew some of her hair and her neck. And the thing with necks in a realistic style and in real life, necks are supposed to be as thick as to go from your ear to your other ear. And further down the road in this drawing, I kind of noticed she's looking quite masculine, so I try to, solve that, make the neck a little bit smaller. But yeah, at first it's just kind of thick. And then she is a ranger, so I gave her a little cloak. I don't know, first time drawing a cloak like that on a realistic person, or semi-realistic person. Demorphed it all, and then I started painting. And so rather than doing like a real line art kind of a style, I decided I wanted to try a more painterly style in Photoshop, and I really enjoyed this process. I still use layers and stuff, but I kind of played around with painting on top of the line art and below it, things like that. Then I start painting the eyes, and I had a lot of fun painting these eyes. Her eyes are supposed to be kind of a light brownish yellow kind of a color, and yeah. And so then I paint her hair and stuff, and then I realize partially the way through, I'm like, oh no, she actually looks like Link from Legend of Zelda a little bit. I was like, I'm not having that. And so then I'm like, dang, she's looking a little too masculine. How am I going to make her look a little bit more feminine? So here I refine the chin shape, making it a little bit thinner at the end. I make her neck thinner. I decreased the fullness of her eyebrows significantly, and I kind of removed this weird like shading that I had on the sides of the face, and it really helped to make her look more feminine. And so that was cool. It's kind of crazy how just a few things can determine femininity versus masculinity in drawings like this. And then I just started working on her clothes and stuff. Now that I've kind of explained this drawing a little bit, I'm going to start just talking to you about my character and what she's like. Okay, so her name is Lilith, and she's a ranger. She has the crossbow expert feat, so her primary weapon of choice is a crossbow, and she was having some issues. She kept rolling a nat 1 and breaking her last crossbow. So she got an upgrade crossbow that can't break. So that's cool. So yeah, she uses the heavy crossbow, the Unbreakable, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, she's my character we're doing for the Strahd campaign, and so like the Strahd story, I'm gonna give you like a brief overview without spoilies, hopefully. So the world of Strahd, it's a vampire kind of Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and so there's a lot of vampires, werewolves, things like that. And then there's this evil vampire dude named Strahd, and he's like controlling the land of Barovia. It's always like cloudy and a lot of misfortunes happen. Just like Strahd's just kind of like straight up evil dude, kind of just is really bored all the time because he's like super old, so he like all of the new people that come into the town, he just likes toying with them and messing with them because he's like bored. He's kind of like done everything already, so he like sticks around to I don't know, play with the new people, I suppose you could say, kind of just mess with them. Yeah, and then there's like cool NPCs. Esmeralda, she's kind of like part of our team right now. She accidentally got turned into a vampire, but thankfully she's a nice vampire. And like, you know, our DM is awesome. She adds a lot of her own flavor into it, and it's great, and I love it so much. So she was kind enough to let us keep Esmeralda not being evil. And so yeah, I'm very thankful for that. Oh, and I forgot to even mention the best part. My character, she was fighting a direwolf, and so a direwolf is just like a giant wolf, and she was fighting a direwolf, and this poor direwolf was on his last limb. He was almost dying, and so then he just like gave up, and so then she felt bad for him, and she mended him up and fixed him up, and now he is her companion. And I named him Champion, like in Parks and Recreation. Oh my gosh, what are their names? Andy and oh my gosh, what's her name? Her name's Aubrey Plaza, but what is her character's name? April Legate. Okay. Andy and April, they get a dog, a 3-legged dog named Champion. And I love that show. And so I was like, I'm going to name my dog Champion. And so Champion is super great. He got a magical collar, which is pink and frilly. And that gives him magical attacks. And he has, yeah, he's just super cool. My character rides on his back because he's such a giant dog, and I love him, and he is the best. What else about the thing? I don't know. Two of my sisters are in the campaign with me, and their characters are Shawl and... Okay, Shawl is a wizard of the School of Necromancy, so that's been really interesting with this world, and will take like, you know, skeletons and then make creatures out of them, and it's just, oh man, it's such a funny time. And I don't know, Shaw's just like such a good character. And then Roby, all of them are good characters. Roby is my other sister's character, and he is a paladin, and he's just like a stand-up fellow, and he's kind of dorky and clumsy, but like strong and you know, lawful good, does what's best for the people and for the sake of the land, things like that. And then our friend Mark, his character is Anton, and he is a cleric, and he's I think he has like a Russian accent, and oh my gosh, he's a good character too. He's like proficient in stonework, so he checks out all the different carvings and stuff, and oh man, it's just such a good time. Such a good time. Oh, and he's like really good at puns. My character... Oh, okay, so her background. So her background is that she was orphaned. Her dad was a priest that worked in a church, and then she had a little brother and a mom, and her mom and brother were killed by vampires, and her dad like pledged his soul to the dark side pretty much. And so then Lilith was really, she like got angry and she changed her name, and she like got all angsty because she was like a young teenager. She was like a kid, I don't know. She got angsty. She ran away from her dad because her dad like is like evil, and so then she grew up on the streets, and she's very she's untrusting of people. She's very skeptical, and she's very bad with talking to people. Her charisma is like the lowest stat she has. I think it's like a +1 or something, or it might even be a +0. It's just not very good. But she's very perceptive, and she is good at finding traps, and her like thing is to like check for signs of vampires. So I'm always like, check for vampire signs. And yeah, it's just a meme in our group now, I guess. A little inside joke. Okay, so now back to the drawing a little bit. So I really tried my best to work on lighting and try to give the fabric some glow. Played around with different layer modes to give it a glowy glow kind of a feel. And then I added a simple background. And I'm not sure if I like the background being white more, or if I like the background being like this kind of forest. Either way, I think it works. But yeah, anyway, now that I've rambled on long enough, here, I'll just show you the final product. Here you go. I'm gonna start taking commissions like this in my Etsy store. And so if you want to check it out, go ahead. I have the link in my description. Anyway, I just want to thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in my next video next week. Bye!